everybody, I am back. It has been a while since I have posted a video. Earlier this year was really crazy busy for me, but now I'm back and I really wanted to come back with a video that I think is going to be very important because this is probably my most frequently asked question. One is, can you mentor me? And two, how do I get a job in technology, in tech, in general, right? I get these questions a lot. For the mentorship piece, as far as like me being able to do it, it's not very scalable. I do have a lot of people that request, and if you are gonna get a mentor, I would recommend finding someone who isn't mentoring a lot of people at once, someone who can give you a little bit more individualized attention and time. With that being said, this video I'm gonna cover if I went into witness protection program and I had a new resume that they gave me and I don't have any tech experience at all, right? Starting from no tech experience, here are the steps that I would take to land my first tech job. Now, this is actually different than what I did to get my first tech job. And I feel like if I would have worked this plan or followed these steps, I would have saved a lot of money and time, probably, for sure, which is fine. Whatever path you take to get into tech, they're all valid. But this is what I think that I would personally do if I had to start over again from nothing. Now, the question of how do I get a tech job? How do I transition into working as a tech? The number one thing you're gonna have to do, step one, you're going to have to decide what role in tech you would like. There are so many options, so many fields. We have like networking, cloud, development, data analytics, cybersecurity, system administration. There's a lot. IT generalist. There's so many things that you can do in tech. And then all of those things that I listed also have a ton of subcategories. For instance, if we look at cybersecurity, which is the field that I work in now, I waited and researched for about a year before I decided what role in cybersecurity I was going to work towards, because there was so many options and I honestly didn't really know what a lot of them did. So cybersecurity has threat hunting, blue team, red team, pen testing. There is research. There is also some cybersecurity like development. There's SOC, incident response. Don't get mad at me if I miss one. There's a lot of options, right, in cybersecurity alone. So I would kind of pick like, oh, I want to go into cybersecurity, or maybe it's networking, maybe it's, development. And then once you kind of figured out that little umbrella, I would look at the different roles, because even developments, like if you want to do application development, like mobile apps or web development, or I don't know what else other people are coding all the time. You could code like programs for rockets. I don't know. There's a lot of options there too. So kind of then decide what area and development you want to go into. If you're not really sure, I would just take some time to research it, look at the different options that are available, and just pick out personally what sounds interesting to you. Now, once you pick one, does that mean you have to stay on that path forever? No. If you pick one and then maybe like a month goes by and you're like, actually, I don't think this is right for me, cool, forget about it, change it, do something different. Don't make yourself feel that you have to stick with something that you're not really that interested in because you like picked it earlier and kind of already started doing some research and work on it, because your work will probably still be relevant, and I'd rather you take that time to really find a role that you're gonna like. Because it would suck if you got through all of this and got a job and you're like, wow, I hate this. So don't feel bad if you change your mind, because I used to work in networking and now I work in cybersecurity. A lot of overlap for sure. So I really don't feel like my time in networking was wasted, right? After you pick your area of interest and then kind of the specialization you want to go into, step 2 would be start looking for jobs immediately. And this probably sounds crazy, but it's not, right? So I would go on LinkedIn or Indeed, whatever options there are for looking for jobs now? I don't really know. Probably LinkedIn, I would probably say, is the most popular option, but I would find job listings for your, let's say, like dream job, right? If you want to be a network engineer, that would be your goal. If you want to be a pen tester, that would be your goal. If you want to work on mobile app development, that could be your goal. Now, start looking at job listings that are searching for people who are wanting to do that, who are looking for jobs. They're asking, hey, I need someone to do pen testing at my company. Please come work here. And I would very carefully review everything that they're asking for. So there's gonna be like job duties, qualifications, requirements. You're gonna get a lot of information, and you can learn from these listings what you should be focusing on to land a job in your preferred field. Now, a couple notes here, right? So there's a few disclaimers. One, when you're looking at these jobs, think of it like that employer's wish list. The chances of them actually being able to hire someone that meets every single requirement or every single, preferred qualification is slim to none. In the process that I haven't been involved in when it comes to hiring, you never get a candidate that has everything. So keep that in mind. And keep that in mind when you're applying for jobs too. I don't want you to see something and be like, oh, well, I don't have this experience with this technology, I can't apply for that. That's not true. You can for sure apply. And even if they don't pick you the first time, keep applying. It's okay that, maybe they didn't reach out to you that time. Maybe next time they will. So don't feel bad if, you don't get a call back or anything like that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's what I would do, is I would look at what these employers' wish list are for their ideal candidate to fill that position. And I would write that down, see a lot of like the overlap that they are, all the positions that you've looked at. So maybe take a sample of like 3 to 5 or more. If you're an overachiever, look at 20. That's the more data that you have, I think you'll start to see a lot more overlap with technology. So it's like, oh, if you see Python a lot, or you see Terraform, or, Cisco or Palo Alto, or all these different things, experience with like OSPF, I would kind of point those out, write those down, because that's giving you the secret sauce of what it takes to get that job and what you should strive to be learning, right? Strive to be gaining that skill. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is revamp your resume now, immediately. And I would focus on, obviously, trying to make it sound that it is applicable, it's useful, it's focused towards a tech-related job. And if you don't have any technical experience, you might be asking, like, how can I do that? There are a lot of transferable skills that you can take from a job that you may be working now into a tech job. For example, right? Problem solving. That is an important skill that people in tech need to have, for the most part, is to be able to troubleshoot and solve problems. And maybe at work you are problem solving. Maybe you are currently like an HVAC repair technician, but you want to move into tech. Talk about your troubleshooting and problem solving that you do at work. And it could be like manual labor. It could be, maybe you're a nurse, maybe you work at a grocery store. Talk about how you've managed projects, how you've, interacted and communicated with the public or even other businesses, vendors, your communication skills, managing deadlines, being able to collaborate and work in teams. These are skills that can be transferable into a tech role, and they're important to highlight on your resume. I also went and looked at a bunch of jobs myself this morning just to see an idea of what's out there and kind of what people are looking for. And I wrote down a bunch of keywords that I saw repeatedly in these listings. So, for example, I think these are keywords that you should incorporate into your resume somehow when you're explaining your current position, your experience at your past jobs or within organizations, school, things like that. So like support, lead, facilitate, ensure, maintain, manage, coordinate, improve, evaluate, implement, identify, provide, apply, design, analyze, adapt, develop, review, educate, assist, test. Like these are keywords that I would try and somehow incorporate onto your resume in a relevant way for your experience, right? So a lot of times nowadays you send off your resume and it goes through this like HR system, and some of these resumes just get filtered out and human eyes do not actually end up seeing the resume. This is kind of like hacking your resume, adding these keywords that this like resume evaluator program, I don't know what it is, that these are keywords that it would be looking for, because these are words that are applicable and would apply to a position in tech that they are looking for, because they're most likely using these words on their job listing right now. I will add these into the description for you, these keywords. Then also I found a PDF guide from Harvard on how to create a resume with resume templates and different tips and tricks. So I recommend, if you have the money, to talk to maybe a professional who can help you, someone who specializes in tech or has experience with tech resumes specifically, that can help you revamp your resume and figure out those applicable and transferable skills that you have. But if you cannot, pay for that, or not interested in paying for that right now, then this is a good kind of supplemental guide here from Harvard that they recommend to their students on how to structure their resumes and words to add and things like that. So you've picked what job you want, right? You've picked your dream job, your field, your specialization, and you have cleaned up your resume. Step 4, I would say start applying for jobs. Even if you are lacking tech skills on your resume, start finding roles that are entry level, that are looking for maybe between 0 and 3 years of experience. If you don't have any, that's like, oh, well, we need 3 years of experience, apply anyway. Don't really worry too much about, again, matching all of the qualifications that they're looking for. I would start applying and set a goal for yourself every week, 5 to 10 applications a week. Now, remember, your job, let's say you want pen tester, that is your goal. You may not be able to land a pen tester role immediately, but applying for jobs, maybe it's SOC, or maybe it's IT at a school or a city, because those are also really great places that do hire entry-level people without experience. Those are great places to start because you touch a lot of technologies. Maybe you have to get a job in help desk. There are some entry-level jobs, but once you get into the tech field, that is good stuff to put on your resume. You have your foot in the door, and then now you can kind of climb that ladder and work towards the role that you ultimately would like to achieve. And like I had to work retail, right? That's how I didn't start off as a network engineer. The first job that I had was working at Best Buy in the computers department, and then I worked at Apple fixing iPhones, and after that I worked at a school district and I had an internship at a manufacturing company. I worked a lot of roles in tech before I actually ended up landing a job as a network engineer. So your dream job position is the goal, but applying for, I would say, probably like maybe 5 jobs a week. That's what I would at least do, is apply for 5 jobs a week in the tech field that are entry level, even if it's not my dream job. And the other good news is, like, you're gonna hopefully get some interviews, even if they don't pick you. I think it's a really good idea to get experience in those interviews, because they might ask you technical questions. You'll see how different types of interviews are structured, and you can learn something from each interview that you go to, even if you don't get that job. So take away like the positives out of that. You're still getting experience interviewing and applying for jobs. Now, while you're doing this, you're applying for jobs, the next thing that I would recommend you do is to start creating a plan so that you can get more technical items on your resume, some actual relevant technical experience. So, for example, if you want to work in cybersecurity, there are resources that you can take advantage of that you can add on your resume. So if you do, for example, try Hack Me or Hack the Box, they have free and premium options of that. You can add that on your resume. Say, oh, I, either completed this course through Try Hack Me, I, spend so much time, or I'm this rank on Hack the Box. That's great. Add that to your resume. You can do LinkedIn Learning. There are classes on edX that you can take, which are available for free. A lot of them are for free, where you can get classes, computer science classes at Harvard you can take for free. Same thing with MIT, and a bunch of other four-year institutions offer these classes that you can audit and take, and some of them do provide you with a certificate. But even if you don't pay for the certificate, you can still put it on your resume that you completed that, because maybe they don't probably care that you have the certificate or not. As long as you did it and you learned and you gained something out of that course, that is the most important part. There's a lot of free YouTube videos, obviously, Twitch streamers. The other thing that I would recommend is I would look at, if you're in the US, right? I would look at your local community college. I looked at my local community college this morning to see what they offer, and they do have associate's degree options and classes for computer information systems, and I think even computer science. You can start by taking just one class, right? There is no rule that says you have to take 12 credit hours and be a full-time student and pay all this money. You don't have to do that. So if you have the availability and the funds to take one class a semester, take one class a semester. You can put that you are a student enrolled at that college working towards X degree, and talk about some of the classes that maybe you've taken. And at my local community college, obviously, if you're in state, it's cheaper to go to. And if you're in the same county, it's even cheaper. So when I looked, it was $79 per credit hour, and each class is 3 credit hours. So if you can take one course and just start, that's something that you can also add on your resume, that you were a student pursuing a degree at a college, a local community college. And that's great, because some people don't really care where you get your degree from for the most part, okay? You can go, and I would recommend, going to an accredited university, but like a lot of local community colleges even have partnerships with local 4-year universities, institutes, where they transfer credit hours over and all that, but you don't even really need to worry about that. I would just say start small, take a class, enroll, become a student. Put that on your resume that you were a student pursuing that degree. You can take certifications. This is controversial. You don't necessarily need certifications. I typically recommend them for people if you have the funds to pursue them, because it can kind of help supplement if there is a lack of actual physical working experience at a job. Again, not required. There's a lot of other free options. If you are, working on a Python course, I would also recommend anything that you're doing as far as coding goes or automation, create a GitHub account, post that stuff publicly. If you are looking for a development role, a development focused role, live on GitHub, work on open source projects if possible, work on your own small projects. And even if it's like really, really small, don't worry about it. Put it on GitHub. Show that you are creating and that you are learning and that you are practicing what you're learning. That is really important. We've covered a lot. at this point, right? It seems like a lot. And I want to take this intermission to say it is okay to be overwhelmed. That's why you just take it one step at a time. And it might take you a year to complete these steps. And that is totally fine. This is a marathon, not a sprint, or whatever they say. Do it at your own pace. If you work full time and have other family obligations or just obligations in general, it's okay. The idea here is that you are just going to be working towards it, being consistent, because even if you studied 15 minutes a day, in a year, you're going to have learned a decent amount of information, right? That information compounds and you are learning. So it's much better to start small, work at your own pace, and ramp up as you can. If you have the funds to, pay for some other different programs or resources, fantastic. If you don't, utilize your free resources. Now, the next step is going to be, in my opinion, the most important step for this whole plan. And that would be networking. And I'm not referring to computer networking. I'm referring to person-to-person social networking. And it doesn't need to be online. It can be in person. Because here's the thing, people want to hire people they know. It is infinitely easier to get your foot in the door, especially at like a specific company, if you have a reference or someone that can kind of, I guess, recommend you, but also just like help you get into that company. Or maybe they are a hiring manager and they're like, oh, I think you would be great for this role. And once people know you and they like who you are and they, see that you are putting in all this effort, they are going to be willing to look past maybe some deficiencies on your resume or lack of experience, right? Because people just want to hire people they know. That is the best way to get into a company. That's the best way to get a tech job, is a recommendation. So, ways to do this, right? So when I graduated, or I guess when I started learning tech or getting into tech, I did not know anybody. I knew I wanted to do networking. I didn't know any network engineers, not a single person. Didn't know a single one. So it's like difficult, right? To, find people to talk to if that's just not the people that you hang around with. My family's very blue collar. They are like union laborers and they don't know much about networking, which is fine. But some people do have that advantage where, maybe one of their parents already works in technology, or an aunt or uncle or a cousin or friend, whatever. Some people have that, some people don't. But there are ways to meet people if you just don't know anyone directly in the proximity of you in your life, right? So I would say get involved in social media like Twitter or LinkedIn and follow people and connect with people who are working in the fields that you aspire to work into, or that are just going through the same process that you're going through. Because it's good to even just talk to someone who might have a lead on, hey, like this is a good place to get a job, or I heard, about this, and maybe you can study together and skills to share and different things like that. That's great. So get active on social media. I would go on like meetup.com and look for local technology groups or interest groups, clubs. So in Dallas, there's Dallas Hackers Association if you're interested in cybersecurity. And then there's also like the DEF CON group that meet up monthly. There's going to be a ton of people there that are interested in that topic. And I would make a good effort to talk to people, meet them, see them regularly at that meetup, and hopefully from that situation you can meet someone that might be able to recommend you for a position or would be interested in hiring you because they see that you are putting in all this effort to find a job and to network. And putting yourself out there can be very scary. Contrary to popular belief, I am a pretty introverted person. aside from the social media stuff. But when we talk about person to person communication, I'm very introverted. I don't really enjoy talking to a lot of people at once or presenting to people in person. It's very difficult for me to go up to somebody and, spark up a conversation with them because I'm just kind of shy. Not that I feel like maybe it comes off as mean, but I'm just shy. And then I'm always worried like, oh, I'm gonna say something stupid. And then this person is gonna think I'm stupid. So I just don't talk a lot, right? But once I do meet somebody and start getting more comfortable around them, I open up a lot. And you might be like that too. So I completely understand that this can feel very daunting and like a lot to ask for. Because it is, for me personally, right? But again, this is the best way. This is so valuable. Like I said, attending a conference, making friends that are, your peers also looking to pursue the same thing that you are or have similar goals, and getting active on social media, and especially like local clubs and meetups, because they have so many options on meetup.com. Like all types of different hobby groups related to technology and everything else. Now, just keep doing that every month. Go every month to the group, see everybody, meet friends, put yourself out there, talk to people, even if it's uncomfortable. And after a while of this, right, you are probably going to eventually meet people that you also see there regularly, that you start to talk to. I would use this as an opportunity for the next step would to be find a mentor. Which everyone hears that. Find a mentor, find a mentor, find a mentor. And it's like, what does that mean even? Like, what does it mean to find a mentor? For me, I would consider a mentor anybody who is offering you advice, who works in the career field or, that you want to go into. And it doesn't need to be this like official agreement or arrangement with somebody. It's just someone that you feel comfortable asking questions to, and that it's someone who's willing to give you time to answer those questions and give you some guidance, right? If you want to eventually be like, hey, like, if you want an informal arrangement, that's possible. Not necessary though. I don't think I've ever had a formal mentor. I've never asked someone, hey, can you be my mentor? I've just asked questions and I've made friends, and I've had people in my life willing to give me advice or point me in the right direction. And that's really what it takes, right? So don't get hung up on this mentor situation that it needs to be some official formal thing, because it really doesn't. You can have a bunch of different people. I would actually recommend having maybe like 3 or 4 different people that you feel comfortable asking questions with, and then take turns asking them questions, so one person doesn't be like, oh my goodness. That's in my head. I always feel like that. I try and switch up who I ask questions to, so that I'm not just like overloading one person with questions. That's just me though, and how I see it. But someone might feel comfortable answering all of them for you. But again, don't get hung up on it. It doesn't need to be this official agreement or arrangement or anything like that. Just someone who is a friend that you feel comfortable asking questions to, and who is also comfortable and willing to give you some of their time. And then the last step, I guess it would be more of a recommendation, is be consistent. Don't give up. Again, this is gonna take time. This is a process. Keep adding things to your resume. When you get a new certificate, add it on there. Reapply for jobs. Go to the interviews, even if you are not really getting far in them. Ask for feedback, find mentors, talk to people, network, and then eventually an opportunity will come to you. You just have to be consistent. You have to show up. You have to put in the time. There is no get rich quick, right? I feel like I see that on Twitter a lot from people who are like, do this one thing that will take you like 2 months and you can make $300,000 working at Amazon. And it's like, it's not like that. And be cautious of people who are telling you that they can get you a tech job and that they're offering like consulting services for a fee. I would focus that money instead of these consulting services to I would put that towards learning something technical, whether it's buying a book or paying for, you know, a Python course or a subscription to try Hack Me or something like that, right? Because there are people out there that are looking to make money off people who want to get into the tech field. I'm giving you all this information completely for free. You do not have to pay me. You don't have to consult with me. This is my advice to you. This is like what I would call like the secret recipe. So this is, yeah, just be careful because there are people that will try and scam you. And I think if you follow this and take the time and be consistent and give it like, you know, don't start getting frustrated until like a year, right? Maybe a year after, be like, all right, I might need to reevaluate my approach and switch up what I'm doing, whether that's revamping your resume again, working with somebody different, picking up a different skill. Just give it a year, give it some time, be patient, be consistent, even if it's, you know, a couple hours a week, one class here or there, one completion of a certificate, using free resources. You'll get there. And hopefully this information will be helpful to you. If you have reached out to me and asked for mentorship or, you know, information and I haven't been able to get back to you, I am sorry. I have been so busy. But hopefully I can point people in the direction of this video when that information can come up and that this is out there, right? Like I said, don't pay for someone to give you this information. I am giving it to you for free. Now, I'm gonna add some links and information in the description, some resources that are completely free for you to look at. They'll be different topics like cloud. I have some on networking. I have some on coding and security, all of that. I'll put those free resources at the bottom. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments and hopefully I can either respond back to them or, you know, make a whole new video about a different topic. But hopefully you find this interesting and thank you everybody. Good luck. I will see you on the next video.